Kobe Bryant was once one of the most polarizing athletes the world of sports had to offer. But in evaluating his career accomplishments amid a world and society that overrates nearly everything and everyone, it is clear that Kobe Bryant has become criminally underrated. So let's count the ways the Black Mamba is cheated out of his rightful standing as a top 5 NBA player of all time. Kobe Bryant has a relatively underwhelming career average of 25 points per game, 5.2 rebounds, and 4.7 assists. The thing many fail to take into consideration is Kobe was traded to the LA Lakers on draft day at the age of 17 years old as an unproven high school player. The Lakers at the time were plush with backcourt talent. Their starting guards, Eddie Jones and Nick Van Exel, both made All-Star teams in the 1998 season, and Jones, who was the Lakers' shooting guard at the time Bryant was drafted in 96, made All-Star teams in 97, 98, and 2000. So a young Kobe Bryant struggled to get on the court during this time of his career. In his first 3 seasons, aged 18, 19, and 20 years old, Bryant started a total of only 57 of a possible 214 games. During that time, Bryant averaged only 25 minutes per game, took 10 shots a game, and scored under 14 points per game. We then would see him victimized by a similar trend in the final 3 years of his career. On April 12, 2013, Kobe Bryant ruptured his Achilles tendon at the age of 34, and in retrospect, he never really was able to get back to form following that injury, as he suffered 2 subsequent season-ending injuries in 2 of the next 3 years as his body failed him. During those last 3 years, Bryant played a total of 107 of a possible 246 games and averaged under 19 points per contest. So looking at Kobe's entire career averages does not tell the whole story once you take his first 3 and last 3 years into context. In 14 seasons, from 1999 to 2013, Kobe Bryant's aged 21 to 34 seasons. He played in 1,039 regular season games. This is no small sample size and would encompass the entirety of many other historical players' entire careers. For comparison's sake, Michael Jordan played in 1,079 total regular season games, Wilt Chamberlain played in 1,045 career games, Larry Bird played in 879 games, and Magic Johnson played in 906 games. During this 14-year span, Bryant's aged 21 to 34 years, he averaged nearly 28 points per game. Had Kobe not depreciated his career averages so severely in his first 3 and final 3 seasons, his 14-year scoring average of 27.9 points per game would be 3rd best in NBA history, behind only Michael Jordan and Wilt Chamberlain. And this is exactly where Bryant belongs. He is one of the 3 greatest scorers in NBA history. Bryant is 3rd all-time in 40-point games, he is 3rd most in 50-point games, and he has the 2nd most 60-point games. The only thing that stops Kobe from taking his rightful place next to Jordan and Chamberlain in career points per game is the depreciated 3 years to start his career due to lack of playing time, and the final 3 years that were depreciated due to injuries. Kobe Bryant's 5 championships are routinely undervalued because he played with Shaq for the first 3 titles. But what many fail to grasp is that Kobe Bryant was a bona fide top 3 player in the NBA for the last 5 years he and Shaq played together. As we covered, Kobe had not yet hit his stride in his first 3 seasons, all seasons that the Lakers did not win the title. In the last 5 years Kobe and Shaq played together, they went to 4 finals and won 3. In those 5 seasons, Kobe averaged 26.2 points per game, 6 rebounds, and 5.3 assists during the regular season. In the playoffs, he averaged a nearly identical stat line of 26, 5.4 rebounds, and 5.1 assists. Bryant was named to 5 All-NBA teams in those 5 years. During this time, he was also named to 5 All-NBA defensive teams. So Bryant was, without question, the best full-court perimeter player on the planet. In the last 5 years, he played with Shaquille O'Neal, which resulted in 4 finals runs. Yet these championships are routinely undervalued for Kobe, and he is constantly painted to have been carried to these championships. Kobe was not carried by any stretch of the imagination in these championships, and it's time they garnered more respect. If anything, Kobe, a capable annual scoring leader who could have been averaging 30-plus points per game those first 8 years, sacrificed his own individual numbers and accolades to do exactly what was needed to win. When the time came where he had to shoulder all of the load, he proved more than capable in doing that as well. This was clearly illustrated over the 3 finals runs from 2007 to 2010, when with only one other All-Star on his roster, Bryant went to 3 consecutive finals and won back-to-back championships. He played in 67 games in the playoffs over that span and averaged virtually 30 points per game. It should also be noted that the competition Bryant faced over that span of time was absolutely loaded from a historical context. Kobe played 12 total teams in those 3 years in the playoffs. 11 of the 12 teams won a minimum of 50 games in the regular season, with the lone exception being the 48-win Utah Jazz, who the Lakers played in the first round in the 2008-2009 playoff run. Every other team won at least 50 games during the Lakers' other 2 first-round matchups in the 1-8 series. Kobe went 11-1 against these 12 teams and won 2 titles, with Pau Gasol as his only other All-Star, making this run one of, if not the most, undervalued, sustained title runs in NBA history. In fact, the insane amount of competition that Kobe Bryant faced throughout his career is also greatly undervalued. Kobe Bryant's teams faced 35 teams throughout his playoff runs that won at least 50 games in that season. To put that number into perspective, Michael Jordan played 27 and LeBron James has played 19. Kobe is 25-10 in series against 50-plus win teams, meaning he has beaten more 50-win opponents in the playoffs than LeBron James has even played. The biggest reason Kobe Bryant has been so criminally underrated by pathetic know-nothing journalists in the mainstream media is because they don't understand the whole picture. Kobe has 15 total All-NBA team selections, which is tied with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Tim Duncan for second all-time. He is also tied with Kevin Garnett for second all-time for most All-NBA defensive team selections. Kobe is 4th all-time in regular season scoring and 4th all-time in playoff scoring. He is also one of just 2 players, along with LeBron James, to record at least 30,000 career points, 6,000 career assists, and 6,000 career rebounds. But don't take my word for it, or the vast majority of inept morons that populate the mass media. Look no further than the contemporary peers that went up against Kobe Bryant, as the vast majority of them think that Bryant is the best player they ever saw.
Main reasons that I feel that Kobe is constantly disrespected in this whole
but that's why I said Kobe
and everything. I'm not saying that y'all did it. I'm just saying period. Yeah. But I feel like I literally had to guard him. Prime, 3P, all the way to whatever you want to say. Like, please, bruh.
It's different.
Bruh, you hear me? Like, please, what are y'all talking about?
It's ridiculous.
My top 5 is MJ, Kobe, easy Kobe.
Easy, number 2 ever.
Exactly.
I don't even want to say number 2. It's like they just up here with
man,
each other.
bro. Like, and they disrespect him constantly.
He was
like,
just
nobody had the mentality that he had. Like, man, that man was like, it's kill everybody all the time. Can't nobody fight me. You say something to me, I'm putting 50 on you. And I'm not saying it. I'm talking about literally. I'm about to try and put 50 on you.
Yes.
In my experiences, talking to former players over the last several years, surprisingly, the majority of them have always picked Kobe over LeBron to me.
He's a scorer.
What they love about Kobe and why they have put him over LeBron, this is ex-players who face both, is that they always point to the killer instinct. Like, I get the impression that players didn't want to go against Kobe because they feared him. They knew he was going for the jugular. LeBron, they obviously have great respect for his ability and his skills, but it's not the feeling like he's going to go out there to crush you, to rip out your heart.
Thank you for joining me for this comprehensive look at one of the most underrated players in all of sports history.
The Lakers, 17 straight points to put them on top.
And 60 points and a win.
And Bryant will leave here.
Kobe Bryant will leave the NBA floor for the last and final time in his career.
What can I say? Mamba out. There goes Kobe Bryant. There goes basketball greatness.